Here comes the knowledge whale. Oh! Leave a like for the whaley goodness. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. During a council meeting between 1414 and 1418, Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund made a Latin grammatical error by conjugating schisma as feminine. When a cardinal corrected him, he replied, "I am king of the Romans and above grammar." He was actually nicknamed Super Grammaticum by historians. There's an impact crater over 25 miles in diameter buried beneath the Chesapeake Bay. It was revealed in 1993 from oil drilling data, and that prior to impact many moons ago, Richmond, VA was covered in thick tropical rainforest. Captain Citrus was a fictional mascot based on Captain America from the Florida Department of Citrus. That state was tasked with promoting Florida's orange industry. Created in 2011 as Ollie the Orange, Florida paid Marvel around $1 million in 2014 to redesign and publicly promote the character. 65% of the population of the world is lactose intolerant. In 2019, the Netherlands became the first country to completely ban the Hells Angels biker gang. In July of 2022, the Supreme Court of the Netherlands reaffirmed this ban and made it permanent. Other countries such as Germany had banned local chapters, but never the club as a whole. There's a name for when people are cousins through both parents. It's called double cousins. An example is Grandpa and Grandma get married. Grandma's brother is married to Grandpa's sister, so the cousins between the two of these couples are double cousins. There's a young couple in Japan that divorce and remarry each other every 3 years to take turns using their family names, all because they can't come into agreement on which name to use. Dodi Fayed, Princess Diana's partner, was the cousin of assassinated Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. They were both nephews of Saudi billionaire arms dealer Adnan Khashoggi. By the turn of the 20th century, Canadian geese were on the brink of extinction in the wild due to unregulated hunting. The German grocery chain Lidl opened a store in Dublin and used glass floor panels to display both 11th and 18th century archaeological ruins. After South Korea built a 323-foot flagpole with a 300-pound flag near the demilitarized zone, North Korea erected an even taller 525-foot flagpole with a 600-pound flag on their side of the border. When coffee arrived from Arabia to Europe, it boosted the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment. In the early days, the Royal Society of London used to meet in a coffee shop, not a pub. Marshmallows are a 4,000-year-old food beginning in ancient Egypt, and originally they were made from the sap of a mallow plant that grows in marshes. When Ben Stiller decided to play the lead role in Tropic Thunder himself, Tom Cruise called him and said that he just couldn't get the script out of his mind and asked him what else is open. Stiller suggested the role which Cruise had actually invented, studio head Les Grossman, and he took it. The Malus Maleficarum was a 15th century book with very detailed instructions on how to tell if someone was a witch. The microwave safe label on plastic containers only means that they won't melt or warp, and doesn't guarantee that chemicals won't leach into your food when heated. In 1979, two families, the Wetzels and Strelziaks, escaped East Germany in a homemade hot air balloon. The unique feat was the result of over a year and a half of preparations involving 3 different balloons, various modifications, and a first and unsuccessful attempt. Edgar Allan Poe became a writer after a failed military career. He enlisted in the US Army in 1827. He failed as a cadet at West Point and declared his intention to become a writer. His first works, a collection of poems, were written while in the Army. There are depictions of knights engaging snails in battle, drawn in the margins of late 13th century medieval written works like song and prayer books, and even papal letters. They include man-sized snails, snails hovering in midair, and man-snail hybrids ridden by rabbits. Their origins are a mystery. Wheel-well stowaways are individuals who hide in the landing gear compartments of planes. Between 1947 and 2015, the FAA recorded 113 such attempts, with a staggering 76% fatality rate. Most stowaways were young men, and many remain unidentified. After the death of Shemp Howard from the Three Stooges in 1955, black comedian Manton Moreland was offered the job of the new third stooge by Moe Howard. But Columbia Pictures demanded an actor already under contract with them, and Joe Besser was one of the few comedians still working for them. People can generally guess if a person is rich or not by judging said person's face, with a 68% accuracy. The Point Roberts School in Washington State school bus has to cut through Canada twice a day every day to take kids to and from school. Kids are shuttled on a 40-minute bus ride that takes them out of the US into British Columbia, Canada, and then back into the US through Blaine, Washington. Then on the way home, they do this all over again. 20 of the 50 oldest living people are Japanese. Former US President Ulysses S. Grant and Mark Twain were close friends. Twain, being aware of Grant's poor financial situation post-presidency, offered him a 70% royalty for his memoirs. The Mobro 4000 was a garbage barge that departed New York with 3,000 tons of trash in 1987. It gained national headlines as it traveled the coast looking for a place to unload after being rejected by 6 states and 3 countries. It finally unloaded 5 months later in Brooklyn. The largest airline food poisoning incident occurred on Japan Airlines en route to Denmark after 197 fell ill from infected omelets. Due to limited Japanese-Danish translators, Japanese-speaking restaurant staff were recruited from Copenhagen to serve as medical translators. Thomas Boylan built a cabin out of dinosaur bones in Wyoming in 1932. He died in 1947, and the cabin has since been offered for sale. Want to live in a dinosaur hut? Scotty Landreth was the $1 million 1988 McDonald's record winner when he was just 13 years old. He had his mom claim it, and she squandered a good chunk of it, had her boyfriend steal what was left, and he lost his mom 10 years later, now doesn't talk to his sister, and currently just trims trees. That story makes me mix sad. The state of Arkansas men's lung cancer rate is 40% higher than women. It's suggested this is because of a lot of logging, sawmilling, and diesel trucks. The winner of the 1927 Alaska Territorial Flag Design Competition was a 7th grade orphan named Benny Benson. He was awarded a watch with the flag emblem on it and $1,000 for education that he put towards studying diesel mechanics. The vast majority of Australia's naval fleet is moored at 2 different military facilities located more than 3,900 kilometers apart. By sheer coincidence, both facilities are named Garden Island. Marine Corps Captain John W. Ripley was awarded the Navy Cross in Vietnam for climbing under a bridge several times while under fire to plant a combined 500 pounds of explosives in order to destroy it and separate his men from the enemy. He survived the action and retired a colonel in 1992. Michael Jackson only agreed to 10 shows for his This Is It concert series, but his managers went ahead and increased it to 50. His father, Joe Jackson, was concerned from the beginning that the promoters were pushing Michael too hard, resulting in his death. The 5 stages of grief do not always go in exact order from denial and anger to acceptance, and often vary from person to person. The psychiatrist who created the model said she regretted writing them in a way that was widely misunderstood. Unescorted women prevented men from casually assaulting them in the early 1900s with a simple clothing accessory, the hat pin. It was so effective as a weapon that laws were passed limiting its length in many states. In 2006, a woman named Edith Macefield turned down a reported offer of $1 million to sell her 108-year-old farmhouse to make way for a commercial development in the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle, Washington. Instead, the 5-story project was built surrounding her house. Victoria Coren Mitchell, the British writer, TV presenter, and professional poker player, had a therapist treating her intense fear of flying who died in a plane crash. Well, she's never going on a plane again. Mexico, who abolished slavery in 1837, refused the United States' request to return escaped slaves back up north. Between 3,000 and 5,000 runaway slaves would flee to Mexico. Alanis Morissette was dropped by her record label after disappointing sales of her first 2 albums. Her 3rd album, Jagged Little Pill, is the 13th highest selling album of all time worldwide. See? Never give up. The Super Disc was a floppy disk invented by 3M in 1996 with up to 240 megabytes capacity. It had little success in North America and was discontinued in 2003. That's actually a pretty long run though, if you think about it. Lieutenant Quentin Roosevelt was shot down and killed during the First World War and buried by the German military. That makes him the only son of a president to die in combat. Stendhal syndrome is a psychosomatic condition involving rapid heartbeat, fainting, confusion, and even hallucinations, allegedly occurring when individuals become exposed to objects, artworks, or phenomena of great beauty. Some of you might be getting some Stendhal right now. North Korea actually dropped communism from their constitution in 2009. At age 19, future President Lyndon Johnson secured a job teaching elementary school to impoverished Mexican-American students in 1928. Within 3 months, Lyndon developed various programs including contests in spelling and public speaking and coaching sports. One of the oldest surviving depictions of Jesus is a piece of graffiti from about 200 AD, mocking a man worshipping a figure on a cross with a donkey head. A Venus flytrap is named so because it resembles female genitalia. Al Martino, who plays Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather, got the role with help and pressure from his actual godfather and crime boss, Russell Buffalino, exactly like his character. Charles Luckman decided to be an architect when he was working at a newsstand as a kid and asked one woman passing by what the pretty lights overhead were. She answered that it was a chandelier and that it was an architect who put them there. The Guinness World Record for the largest gallstone ever on record was 13 pounds 4 ounces. And that's it. If you'd like to watch more, be sure to click one of the links on the screen right now. One of them is a playlist to more 50 amazing facts. And of course, leave a like and a comment on this video because it helps me out tremendously in the algorithm. And that's it. Also follow me on my socials. Links are in the description. I'll see you guys next time.